for a closer look at what the federal aid measures mean for you. I'm joined by economist and public policy expert Sean Mullin. Sean, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, what do you make of this announcement? A staggering figure, but the question is it even enough?
It is indeed a huge figure. This is a big, significant package by the federal government. It's an important response to the crisis. I think they will need to do more. The minister, the prime minister, even the governor of the Bank of Canada yesterday admitted that this was probably the first stage in a series of responses. But I think in terms of the size and scale, they're responding accordingly and taking this with the right amount of seriousness.
So more could come. What would you like to hear?
Well, I think what they're doing right now is they're focused on sending money to individuals and to some extent small businesses that need support in order to stay afloat over these next couple of months. It's different from kind of traditional stimulus. We don't want to put policies in place that will cause people to go out, to go shopping, to go to restaurants, to travel. That's what normal economic stimulus usually involves, and that would be counterproductive right now during a pandemic. So I think what you're seeing is a phase right now, which is to say, get income support, get money to the people who are most vulnerable, and then we'll have to think of the next stage of a stimulus package, hopefully once this global health crisis is contained.
This differs from what is happening in other countries, including the U.S., where governments are cutting a check. And this is giving or adding to existing programs. Do you think this is the right approach?
I think what they're doing is they're finding the fastest ways to get money to people. And so what you see here is not necessarily, so what they're doing is they're using, say, the Canada Child Benefit, they're using GST tax credits. These are things that, 90% of Canadians have access to. Many of them already have direct deposit set up. And so by simply increasing these amounts and running it through the system, they can get it to people in a matter of weeks. This can happen in April and at the worst case, May. Designing entirely new programs from scratch and figuring out the logistics of how to get checks out would take months. And it may be the next phase. They may very well be thinking about it, but I think it's right for them to look at the programs they have at their hands and say, what can we use to get money out to people as fast as possible?
Could we foresee another cut to the interest rate? And would that help?
It's quite possible. They asked the governor yesterday. In the last 2 weeks, we've seen 2 cuts to Canada's central bank rate. It's already very near historic lows. He didn't rule out an additional cut. I think what's important to understand right now is monetary policy is not going to be the main vehicle for helping people. That's what we do in a regular economy. But right now, or a regular economic situation, right now, we need to move to fiscal policy, which is literally what they're doing, sending money, sending credits, creating special loan programs, so sending support to small businesses. That's going to be the primary lever for supporting the economy and individuals. And so what you're seeing here now is monetary policy being important, but fiscal policy taking over as the more important tool.
Now, the bottom line, this is acute economic response. Part of your job is to look at what happens next and what effect all of these response measures are going to have in the medium and long term. What do you think?
Well, I think, in the short term, we're going to just have to try and get through this crisis. In the medium and long term, this is where, it'll be great to have the luxury to kind of think about these questions. But how much of the economy has fundamentally changed? How much is going to go back to the normal that we used to think about? How connected are we going to allow our economy to be kind of globally? Is working from home or working remotely going to have a much more larger role in how we work? Which industries are going to be winners? Who's going to need support? Think about the airline industry. And how quickly is it going to be able to recover? Yeah. So I think you're going to see some fundamental changes as we get out of the most acute stage of this phase.
Yeah, we're just trying to navigate these waters as best we can. Sean Mullin, thank you so much for your insight.
Pleased to be here. Thank you.